You send a text, you wait. By Tuesday, she has entirely forgotten your name. When you do secure a date, plans are kept loose, and eventually she cancels with an excuse that sounds valid but feels entirely thin. You sit there, replaying the interaction, wondering what you said wrong. Early rejection is a byproduct of market efficiency. At $0, your signal remains beneath the threshold required for her to reorganize her priorities or move you from the background into the foreground. This conceptual radar interface illustrates how romantic attention operates as a signal. Notice how the low-frequency wave at $0 fails to trigger a ping. You aren't being ignored out of spite. You simply haven't built a frequency strong enough to register on the radar. She doesn't think about you enough to disrespect you. At this level, you have yet to provide a reason for her to invest her full attention in what you are building. When you reach $30,000, a quiet behavioral shift happens. Basic stability acts as a currency, making you visible. She replies the same day. She believes you'll actually show up. You get brought into her circle and introduced to her friends. Hit the $100,000 milestone, and the dynamic reverses. She texts first. She asks what you want to do and adjusts her schedule to fit yours. You have moved from being passively considered to actively chosen. But this level introduces a hidden cost. Standards materialize out of nowhere. The restaurant needs to be a certain caliber. Effort must be calibrated correctly. She never announces these rules. They simply operate quietly in the background of every interaction. You have achieved visibility, and your signal is strengthening. But turning up that dial is about to attract a much more dangerous type of market participant. $250,000 is the threshold where wealth first becomes externally recognizable. It shows up in the car you drive, the apartment you rent, and the lifestyle you project to the world. This visible lifestyle acts as a beacon for the pretenders. These are women who recognize the exact signal you are broadcasting and aggressively move toward it to gain access to that lifestyle. This chart tracks early dating behaviors at this income bracket. We see a sharp rise in frictionless availability, while the line for genuine connection flatlines. She never cancels. She is always free. She laughs much harder at your jokes than they actually deserve. If you mistake this performance for connection, you risk making structural, long-term decisions. Committing assets, co-signing leases, or legal entanglements based on a performance often requires years of financial and social repair once the act inevitably ends. At $500,000, the market splits. Two highly specific types of women emerge, and from the outside, they look absolutely identical in their warmth and their interest. This behavioral matrix maps the two profiles side by side. On the left, Type 1 has her own independent financial plan and engages with the substance of your mind. On the right, Type 2 projects the exact same external warmth, but she has secretly mapped your approximate net worth and your financial trajectory. The two types diverge when the relationship begins to incur a cost. By introducing a scenario that demands significant time, comfort, or social capital, you see which one absorbs the burden and which one begins a visible recalibration of her position. Cross the $1 million mark and obvious chasing disappears. Sophisticated women notice you've stopped flinching at prices. They read your lack of financial anxiety instinctively, and they replace overt effort with strategic patience. By crossing into seven figures, the dating market has transitioned. You are no longer dealing with overt effort. You are operating in a world of covert, highly strategic calculation. At $5 million, the number is so large that obvious performance looks desperate. The women at this tier drop the act entirely and switch to something highly effective: realness. Her warmth is completely genuine. She is curious about your life and excellent company. But that authenticity rests on a very solid bedrock of clear-eyed calculation regarding the assets you represent to her future. By $25 million, access is deeply managed. She has researched your fund, your social connections, and your trajectory long before you run into each other at a curated private event. It feels effortless. It is never a coincidence. This network topology map reveals the reality at the $50 million apex. What appears to be a random meeting is actually the endpoint of highly structured access, arranged completely through third-party nodes. Absolutely nothing is organic. The women at this level possess a terrifying capability. They hold genuine romantic interest and complete structural awareness of $50 million at the exact same time, without a single internal contradiction. The relationships at $50 million that actually survive scrutiny almost always share a single characteristic. They existed before the number was this large. A woman who is present at $0 required no external signal to show up. Her presence today requires absolutely no explanation, because she has proved her interest was about the man, not the math. Wealth alters your signal and your surroundings. It relocates you into a new market where your representation carries a completely different weight. Build the wealth. But cultivate the exact clarity required to understand why you are being chosen at every single level.